What's up, budget babes? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It is Julia Creations, you guys, and I'm back with another video. Did you guys notice something different today? So you guys, we're currently using the digital planner. I haven't used the digital planner in so long. Well, not necessarily so long. I mean, I guess you could say recording a video in so long with the digital planner. We've been using the physical planner for all our videos, but in today's video we're going to be talking about we're going to be doing a budget to talk about paying off debt, setting up a bi-weekly budget, dealing with Affirm, Klarna, and Afterpay, how we handle all of that while still trying to reach our budget goals. So we're going to be talking about all of that today in this video. I don't know why, you guys, I keep sounding like that. I don't know if it's just allergies or whatever. I talk really fast and try to get everything out, and I just be rushing. So yeah, I apologize for that in advance. But we're gonna jump straight into it. This is one of my clients that I did from a private session. She did give me permission to repost this video so she could go back and watch it. So if you guys haven't booked your one-on-one calls with me, make sure you do. Also, of course, all the products we're using could be found at juliacreations.com. Let's jump straight into it. So the first thing we're going to go ahead and do, you guys, is we're going to go ahead and set up the monthly budget here. I mean, our monthly calendar. I'm going to go ahead, fill this in, and then come right back and Alright, you guys, so now that we went in and we wrote down all of the dates here for June, we're going to go ahead and write in our paydays. So she is doing a budget with her and her husband. So they are paid every Thursday. So this is going to be payday, and she's paid weekly and he's paid bi-weekly. So payday number 1 is going to be $740. Payday number 2 is going to be both of their paychecks together. So it's going to be $1,700 plus $740 is going to be $2,440. And then the next paycheck, they'll get paid again. It'll just be her payday, which is also going to be $740 again. And then payday again for her and her husband together. It's going to be $2,440, and then payday again for her is going to be $740. So now that we went in and wrote in the paydays, I'm going to go ahead and write down all of her Klarna payments, all of her credit cards, all her subscriptions. I'm going to go fill this in the calendar, and then I'll be right back. Alright, you guys, we hanged in there tight while we filled all those in. So we wrote down all of our payments. So we have all our credit card payments in here. I haven't wrote any bills because we're going to write that in our monthly budget and our weekly / bi-weekly template here. So this is just our calendar. This is going to be important when we break down our bi-weekly budget and our weekly budget, because you see our pay periods here. We're basically paid every week, and then we have a week where they're paid double, where it's her and her husband's income combined, so that's when they're both paid on the same pay periods. So now we're going to go ahead and set up our monthly budget, and then we're going to break this down to a weekly/bi-weekly template. Off the bat, you guys, the first thing we are going to do is we're going to set up our month in here, and we're going to set up our goal. So this is for the month of June. Our budget goal is to pay off debt. And then we're going to go ahead and break down the two incomes here. We're going to put her income as 1. We're going to say weekly, and then we're going to say bi-weekly pay here. So 1 would be basically her income, and then the other will be her hubby's income. So she currently makes $740 every week. So 740 times 4 would average us at about $29.60. And then hubby makes, let's see here, it was $1,700, right? Yeah, $1,700 bi-weekly, so times 2 will bring in $3,400 per month. So now we're going to go ahead and just do a total income here, which is going to total us to $3,400 plus $29.60 is going to give us a basically income total of $63.60. So we know this is the monthly overview, and this is just the average, you guys. I think June does have an extra week here, but we'll talk about that once we get to the bi-weekly factor here of our budget. So there goes our monthly income here. And now we're going to go ahead and write down our fixed expenses versus our variables. Remember, our fixed are going to be our expenses that are usually the same every month, and our variables are going to be our expenses that vary. So let's go fill this in and come back. Alright, you guys, and just like that, we wrote down all of our expenses. So let's go ahead and add it up here. We got our mortgage for $20.74, our lights for $120, our water for $70, our truck payment for $615, our garbage for $30, our phone bill for $160, our car insurance for $520, our cable for $120 is going to total to $37.09 for our bills here. And then we'll go ahead and add up our variables. So I did add up all of our credit card and Klarna minimums and Affirm minimums. So we just categorize those in our variable expenses, because once those are paid off, we no longer have to worry about them anymore. So that's why we have those on this side, you guys. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add this up. Alright, which is going to give us 21.21. Now let's go ahead and take 21.21 plus 37.09, which is going to give us 58.30. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and find our cash surplus. Our cash surplus is going to be the money we have left over after bills and expenses. So we take what comes in each month, which is going to be $63.60, and we minus it by what goes out, which is going to be $58.30. $63.60 minus 5830 is going to be 530. So that is our cash surplus. Now we're going to go ahead and break this down to a weekly / bi-weekly budget. And I'm going to go ahead and actually write in some of these bills on the calendar, because this is going to help us when we do this. And then we'll jump right into that budget. And wrote all of our fixed expenses in here, because this is going to help when we do our weekly / bi-weekly template here. So guys, what we are going to do a few weeks out. So we are going to start at the end of May here. So I like to do budgets called the week of. Why do we do the week of? Because this is going to help us see how we can get ahead, or just get an overview of our whole entire week. So we're going to go ahead and start this with May 28th here, all the way to June 5th here. And we're going to go ahead and write down all these weeks, and then I'll come back in and we're going to fill out this template. Alright you guys, so now that we went and wrote our week of, let's go ahead and look at our calendar. So we're looking at the week of May 26th to June 2nd. So that's going to be basically May 26th is going to be the end of May here, all the way to basically June 2nd here. So this would be a whole week. So basically the 26th here, so we have the 30th, do the 29th, the 28th, the 27th, and then we'll just put the 26th here, because this is basically still of May. So we're basically going through and we're looking at all the bills that would come out this first week of the month. So because she's paid on Thursdays, it gives us a little bit of time to get ahead for the week. I like to do a Sunday through Monday type of budget, so we can just see everything that's coming out before we get paid again. So with this check that's coming up, we basically will have her paycheck. So she would be bringing in $740 this week of, because we're looking at the week of May 26th all the way to June 2nd. So our paycheck will be on the 30th, and we'll be basically bringing in $740 this week. So what expenses would we have to cover that will come out for this week? So guys, the mortgage will come out on the 1st, which is $2,074. We are starting this budget in the middle of the month, so she's already paid her mortgage. So let's talk about what's already been paid. For the mortgage, she would have had to pay the mortgage with her previous 2 checks that came out in May. So even before May gets here, she has to pre-plan her mortgage, or we wouldn't be able to cover it because we don't have enough when we get paid. So hopefully you guys are, when I'm saying that, we're talking about the previous weeks she'll have to save ahead. So we're going to focus on all the bills that would come through, but the mortgage is already covered. So May 26th to June 2nd, what bills do we have to cover out of this check? We're going to go ahead and cover the light bill, because that comes out on the 6th here. We get paid again on the 6th, but we're going to go ahead and cover it with this check, because we're going to worry about our fixed and then work our way to our variables. Guys, right now we're focusing on our fixed bills that will come out around this time. So we're going to go ahead and write down mortgage, and we're just going to put paid. So she usually splits her mortgage into 2 checks, and you guys will see that once we get further down the line, since this pay period has already passed. So the light bill doesn't come out to the 6th. We get paid again on the 6th, so we're just going to go ahead and cover it with this check. So we're going to go ahead and put our lights in here, which is going to be $120. So our goal is to basically cover everything that's going to come out before we get paid again. So this is why we have our calendar. So we're going to go ahead and make sure we cover our Ulta credit card. We're going to put that on our variable side because that comes out. So we have our Ulta credit card, which totals to $30. Then we also have our Home Depot, which is $50. So we know for sure we need to cover our light bill with this check. So we're going to put lights in here for $120. Then we for sure need to cover our Ulta and our Home Depot. So now this is where we go in and we look at our variable expenses. How much are we averaging each week on these expenses here when we get paid? So she says her gas for the month is $500, but it usually rounds up to about $120 per week. So we know we need to put $120 here for our gas. We already covered our 2 credit cards. What else will possibly come out around this time that we need to worry about? We don't have water or anything coming out till later in the month. We don't have any Klarna or Affirm payments. So we can go ahead and put some money for our eating out budget. So we'll go ahead and put eating out here for $50. So we make sure we cover our variables. So eating out here for $50. And then we'll go ahead and get his hair cut this week, which would total to $30. So we got a haircut for $30. We have our gas and we have our eating out. And that's all we need from our variable side according to this week for her budget. So let's go ahead and add up our variable side. So 30 plus 50 plus 120 plus 50 plus 30 is going to be 280. Alright, you guys, and just like that, our variables total to 280 and our fixed total to 120. So basically our expenses for the week would total to $400. Now we can go ahead and find how much we have left over after our check by taking $740 and minusing it by $400, which is going to give us $740 minus $400 is going to give us $340. That's going to go in our savings until we get paid again. So that's the first check that we have for the month. So now we're going to go ahead and cross off the bills that we paid with this check. We're going to leave the mortgage because we're going to talk about that for July here coming up. So we've already covered our light bills. We get paid again on the 6th of the month. So now we're looking at the week of June 3rd to June 9th. The monthly income, or I mean the weekly income that we'll be bringing in will be $24.40 according to our calendar. So $24.40 is the income because both of them will be getting paid this week. So the next week she'll only be bringing in $740 because that's just when she gets paid. So now we're going to go ahead and look at June 3rd to June 9th and what bills do we have coming up according to our calendar. So I'm going to go ahead and color coordinate this. This is going to be basically June 3rd this week. So we're doing our Monday, June 3rd, all the way to June 9th here. So this is the week that we're looking at. As you can see, we don't have any expenses that really come out this week. We'll get paid again on the 13th. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and get ahead. So let's go ahead and look at our variable side. We have water that will come out on the 15th. We get paid again on the 13th. So why don't we go ahead and pay our water and split our truck payment? Our truck payment isn't due here until the 15th, but why don't we cover those bills? So we're going to highlight it here. Where's that water bill at? I don't think I added it on the calendar. No worries. So we're going to go ahead and pay our water bill to get ahead. And we're also going to pay our truck payment to get ahead as well. And then we're also gonna go ahead and pay our garbage. And let's see how much that totals us to. Alright, you guys, so we're gonna go ahead and put water, which is going to be $70. Then we're gonna go ahead and put, we're gonna do half of our truck payment, you guys, because let's go ahead and look at our budget. So we're looking at June 3rd to June 9th. The next week we only get paid her check, and then the next following week would technically be the end of the month. So we would basically be having to get ready to pay rent again. So, I mean mortgage again. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna split our mortgage in half. So this is where we get our bigger check. So we're gonna go ahead and pay our water, get ahead there, and then we're gonna go ahead and put half away for mortgage. Why are we doing this? Because if we look at an overview of our next coming weeks, we'll get paid again on the 23rd, but why don't we go ahead and get ahead on rent for the next month so we're not stressed out when rent comes. You guys, so we're gonna go ahead and put the mortgage half on this end. So we got our mortgage. And y'all bear with me, it's late at night, so I'm doing this. I'm low-key a little sleepy, but alright, so 2074 divided by 2 is going to be 1037. So out of this check, we're already going to put 1037 away, and then once we get paid again this week, we'll put away the other half. So we have our water, our mortgage, half of our mortgage, and then we're going to do half of our truck payment and pay off the other half this week. So we're going to go ahead and get ahead on our truck payment. We're going to split this into 2 bills, so it's not like we're paying as much that second week. So 615 divided by 2 is going to be 307.50, so we're just going to round up to 308. So we split our truck payment and we split our mortgage in half. So now let's go ahead and look and see what else we have. We'll go ahead and take care of the garbage with this. We'll take care of the trash again with this check, which is going to total to $30. All right, those are all of our fixed expenses. So now let's go ahead and look at our week again. So we're looking at June 3rd to June 9th. In that time spread, we get paid on the 6th. So we're looking at all the way from the 6th all the way to the 9th. So we get paid again on the 13th. But before we get paid again, is there anything else we can possibly cover with this check? Let's see. So we have a smaller paycheck coming out on the 13th. So let's see where we can get ahead at. This is why I say to do the week of. So we have a template right here set for the next week when she gets paid on the 13th, which would be $740 coming in. But is there anything else we can possibly get ahead on? Why don't we go ahead and cover this Klarna, this Afterpay, and why don't we go ahead and also pay off one of these credit cards? So we're going to go ahead and set these in here in our variables just because we have the room to cover those before we get paid again. We'll get a paycheck that will come right after those are due. We have a paycheck on the 13th. These don't come out to the next day, but we're going to go ahead and get ahead. This is why I say to do your week of, because you can already plan some of these bills ahead so you're not putting too much on your plate. So I'm going to go ahead and write these in here. Afterpay. Just going to be 29. Then we also have another Klarna payment here, which is going to be, according to this one, $164. So we'll take care of those. All right, you guys, so look at us getting ahead. So we have our Klarna, Afterpay, and our other Klarna, and I'm basically color coding everything. So everything that comes out with this blue is basically from this paycheck here that we received. So we're just going through and using what we can here. So I was going to do the capital one for 25. I don't know if we'll have enough to stretch that over. So let's go ahead and add up our fix and see what that totals to, because we still need to put in our variables for our gas here. We'll still have gas here for 120. We'll also have babies and dog stuff here for 50. And then we'll also need a haircut again for $25. So she doesn't have to pay for groceries. She does get assistance, you guys, so that's why we don't have a budget for groceries. But if you do have budget or groceries, you want to be putting that in there as well. So our fixed total to $14.45. Our variables 21 plus 29 plus 164 plus 120 plus 50 plus 25, total to $409. So we still have some room with this check to cover some more bills here and expenses to get ahead. So let's see what else we can do. Why don't we go ahead and cover our Home Depot and our Capital One and this Affirm. So we're going to go ahead and add those in there. And this is just going through and seeing what you could squeeze into your budget here. So we're going to go ahead and add the Capital One credit card, which is going to total to $25. Then we're also going to go in and add the Home Depot credit card. Just going to make room. We're going to put Home DCC. And that one totals to, let's see how much that one is, $40. All right. And then we also added a Affirm payment of $15. All right. So we basically added plus 25, plus 40, and plus 15. So $489 plus $14.45 is basically $19.34 here. Guys, we can honestly keep going if we want to get ahead. So let's see. All right, you guys, because the pay periods are, she's paid weekly and he's paid bi-weekly, and those pay periods sneak up a day earlier, we have such a way of being able to get ahead 10 times easier. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, you know what else can we get ahead on? I'm like, we might as well cover these credit cards, you guys. We have the space to do that and still put some in our savings. So we're gonna go ahead and put all of this in here and pay these off, because this check from the 13th, I don't know if we misquoted the income coming in. Even if we add some self-care to her budget here, her self-care budget is 70. She said she does that at the end of the month, so that wouldn't even go here. But we can go ahead and I'm thinking we probably overquoted for her Klarna payments. Yeah, I don't think she's, no, that sounds about right. The Klarna is $549. Yeah, you guys, so this is the perfect example of where we can get ahead. So I'm gonna go ahead and copy these credit cards over and this Afterpay, and then we're gonna move to the next paycheck, which will be the 13th. We haven't even covered this check yet because we've been covering all the expenses that came out before. So I'm gonna move these over and add this on here, and then we're gonna total it up. All right, you guys, so I know that it was a lot, so I'm going to do an overview one more time of what we did. So guys, this blue pay period, which was the 6th of June, we're covering basically all the bills that have blue with this paycheck here. We're able to cover all of those based on how much we have left over. And then we also covered half of the mortgage here and half of the truck payment on this check as well, since we had such a big income coming in. So now we're going to go ahead and add up our variables. So we got Klarna for 21, Afterpay for 74, Klarna again for 164, gas for 120, baby/dog for 50, haircut for 25, Capital One for 25, the Home Depot credit card for 40, Affirm for 15, Citi for 41, and then Walmart for 30. So that's gonna go ahead and total us to 605. So 605 plus 1445 for our fixed expenses would basically total us for the week to 2050. So with this check, we'll basically be taking out 2050 of that to cover these bills and expenses, and we're already technically ahead. So 2440 minus 2050 is gonna put $390 in our savings. Now let's go ahead and talk about the next week. All right, you guys, so now we're looking at June 10th to the 16th. We've already basically covered everything from the 13th all the way until the 17th here, because you see what's highlighted. So we're going to go ahead and use another highlighter color so we can see what bills we'll cover with this check. So we get paid again on the 13th, which is going to be $740. So what bills are left for us technically to pay here? So let's go back and look at what we did for our fixed expenses. So for fixed, we covered half of the truck payment. So we're going to go ahead and pay off the other half of the truck payment. This is a smaller check. So truck payment, which is going to be $308. We know we have to pay that bill. So we're going to put $308 here. And then now let's look at our variables. We're going to need gas again, which is going to be $120. And then haircut again, which is going to be $30. And then let's go ahead and do eating out for $50. Since we haven't ate out since the first week. All right, and then we're not going to worry about getting ahead, and the only other payment that we have here that we haven't paid yet is the Klarna, because we're already ahead. We'll get paid again on the 20th, so we just need to make sure we cover anything from the 13th all the way to the 20th. Hopefully that makes sense for you guys here. So we're going to go ahead and do Klarna for 51. And this is a smaller check, you guys, so this should cover everything and still reach our cash surplus. 120 plus 30 plus 50 plus 51 is going to be 251. 251 plus 308 is going to total to $559 for our total of expenses. So 740 minus 559. 740 minus 559 is going to be 181 in our savings. Yeah, I think we definitely misquoted our Klarna. I think some of her Klarna is from what she has for July. So boom, that week is done. Now we're going to move to the next week. Alright, you guys, so now we're looking at the paycheck here, which is going to be on the 20th that we get paid again. Let me use a different color we haven't used. This color should do it, this lighter color. So now we need to cover, oopsie, that yellow is still too close to the other one. Let's use this one again. So we're going to cover all bills from the 20th all the way until the 26th, because she technically gets paid again on the 27th. So let's go ahead and look at our week of here. We're going to go in and write our fixed expenses. So June 17th to the 23rd, we'll basically need to get ahead for our phone bill. Our phone bill will come out the next week, but we're gonna go ahead and take care of our phone bill, and we're gonna finish the other half of the mortgage here, you guys. So we're gonna go ahead and write the mortgage in, because remember we put that half portion away this week. We're gonna do that again, because the next check we get paid before the 1st is only gonna be $740. We'll technically get paid again $24.40 the week after the mortgage is due. So we're gonna go ahead and write the mortgage in, the phone bill, the insurance, and the cable all need to be covered with this check. Alright, you guys, my camera had died for a second. We had to charge up. This budget's way longer than my usual budgets. But I also noticed, I went back and looked at this week, because I was like, her Klarna's totaled to $549, so it looks like we were missing one. It was a Klarna that was supposed to be here on the 15th. So I went in and added that in, so this week has been updated. So when you guys go back and you're like, what happened? We added a Klarna. So that's the only difference from here. And then here goes all of our fixed expenses. We're back into the week of the 17th to the 23rd, which should technically be the paycheck of the 20th. So we need to cover basically all of this stuff right here. So we already made sure we covered our rent, because of course rent's going to be due on the 1st. We don't get paid again until the 27th, but that wouldn't be enough to cover mortgage. I'm sorry, you guys, mortgage, not rent. So what we're going to go ahead and do is cover these afterpays, these affirms. We've already covered the phone, car insurance. We've already wrote that in our fixed expenses for this check this week. So we're just going to go ahead and add our affirms in here. So affirm is going to total, we have 16 plus 21 plus 26. Plus 3, that's the 29. So our affirm this week would total to $66. So we're going to go ahead and write affirm in here for 66. Then we're going to go ahead and add in our afterpay for 25, because that's the only other one we have to pay. Afterpay 25. And then our expenses that usually our variables that we have again will be gas again for 120, which is what we're gonna have to pay. Then we're gonna do our eat out for 50. Also, she does her self-care for 70, getting her nails done around the end of the month here as well. And is there anything else that we're missing that we haven't done yet? And then we'll do haircuts again. We did haircuts for $25 or $30 last week, so it'll be $25 this week. And that's alternating between her son and her husband. So boom, we have that in there. So we're also going to go ahead and add baby/dog into this week as well, since it's the last week of the month, just in case we need to add that in there. Let's go ahead and total up our fix. So we have our mortgage half, which is going to be 1037 plus 160 plus 520 plus cable for 120 is going to total us to 1837 for fixed expenses. And let's go ahead and write in our variables 66 plus 25 plus 120 plus 50 plus 70 plus 25 plus 50. It's going to be 406. 406 plus 1837 is going to total our expenses to 2243 this week. So we're going to take 2440 and we're going to go ahead and minus this by 2243. 2440 minus 2243. We're going to put 197 in our savings. And just like that, you guys, we technically finished that last week of the month here. And we're already prepared for our bills. So all this check covered all of these expenses. I'm trying to highlight it so it makes it easier when you go back and look which check covered what. So now we're going to the next week, which will be basically the 23rd to the 27th here, if we're starting from a Monday through Sunday standpoint here. So we get paid again $740. And now we have to worry about these expenses and starting our budget for July. We've covered all our bills and all of that stuff. So we're going to see how much we technically would have saved the month of June, because this is going to now be our July budget. We've already covered mortgage. So we're already good, guys. We covered mortgage these first weeks of June. That's why it was easier to break that down. Now we're going to finish off this last week here, the 24th to the 30th. We're going to go ahead and fill in these bills. This is our paycheck. These are the bills that come out. And then we're going to start looking at the next month of July's calendar and just get a head start on there. All right, you guys. So once we get to this last week here of the month, the mortgage has already been covered since we split that into 2 different payments. So mortgage is going to be zeroed out because it's paid. So this next week that's coming up is going to technically be a duplicate of this same exact week. Why? Because these are all the bills that come out the end to first of the month. So all of this is going to repeat. We just need to make sure that we're including our affirms and afterpays. So our affirm and afterpays that would end at the month will be covered with this check. So we're going to go ahead and take the color coordinating again. I'm going to see if this light pink will show up. So this is this paycheck. We're going to cover these here, and then we're going to do a complete duplicate of this first following week, because the cycle is going to repeat because our pay periods are still the same. So we're going to go ahead and write this in really quickly. So we have our affirms, which are going to total to, let's see here, 50 plus 22 is $72 for affirm. Oopsie oopsie. And then afterpay, what is afterpay total to? Afterpay is going to be 29 and Klarna 103. And then Klarna is going to be 103. And then basically we'll have to pay our light bill again with this check. And then we'll also have to pay our Ulta and Home Depot credit card as well. And those usually come out on the first of the month and the second. So we're going to go ahead and pay those as well, which is going to be $30 and $50. And then we'll also need our gas and haircut this week. Technically, you guys, our light bill doesn't come out to the 6th of July, but we want to keep practicing that method of getting ahead. So we already covered that one. Then we have 434 here, which is our total for our variables. 434 plus 120 is going to total us to the week of 554. So 740 minus 554 here. 740 minus 554 is going to be 186 in our savings. Now let's total our full savings for the month of June according to this budget. The first week we saved $340, the second week we saved $390, the third week we saved $78, and then the last week here will be $197. This kind of falls into our July budget, so we're gonna go ahead and just say $186. We'll add that in there. So basically our cash surplus was told to have $530 left over, but we had an additional week here in July, so they got paid twice. So we were able to actually save $11.91 if we stick to this whole budget for the month of June. So now July, once we get to July 1st to July 7th, this whole cycle is going to repeat again. We'll be bringing in $24.40 and all these expenses will come out again. So we'll basically copy this over again. And as we're going through and paying off our Klarna and Afterpays and Affirms, will eventually cut out the budget. So now we're going to go ahead and create a debt payoff list. Alright, you guys, and just like that, we set up our debt payoff list. So I'm going to go ahead and add my savings one more time. 340 plus 390 plus 78 plus 197 plus 186 is going to total us to 1191 left over after bills and expenses. So here goes our debt payoff list. So starting June, according to the budget, June does have an extra week in there, so that definitely did help us. Sorry guys about the in and the outs and the camera lighting changing. My camera had died. So we have 1191. I like keep trying to charge it up. I only had like a little bit left of the budget, so I'm like, let me hurry up and charge my camera and go again and charge and go. But anywho, so starting June, we'll have 1191 left over after our bills and expenses. So guys, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to do the snowball method like we always do. In this case, we're going to prioritize our credit card. So our goal for June is going to be to pay off the Capital One, the Home Depot, and the City card. So we're going to make a goal to pay these off for June. So oopsie, we're going to do this one here, the 50. We should be able to do both of the Home Depots actually. Yeah, both Home Depots. So let's go ahead and add those up. 270 plus 298 plus 350 plus 50 is going to total to 968. So we're going to go ahead and start there. And then guys, these Klarna and Afterpays, I'm not going to worry about those as much. Those are going to fall off. So our goal for the next month will be to pay off more debt. We want to tackle potentially the Ulta credit card and then the Walmart, and then we'll start working on our taxes. Those other cards will eventually, or the Affirm and Klarna will eventually fall off here. And how I know so is because I started her budget for July, and as you guys can see, the payments reduced. This is how much we're paying for Affirm minimums, Afterpay, and now we no longer have any Klarna payments. So that's why it's so important to start your budget plan. So I'm going to have her start with this goal for June, and then I'll do a follow-up with her and make sure we finish the rest of the goal that we have for her. Alright you guys, so I know that was a lot to take in. This is a very long budget, but it was so worth it. So I'm going to go do an overview really quickly of what we did one more time. So we set up our monthly calendar. We went through and we wrote down all our paydays, and our goal is to always get ahead. Guys, when you're budgeting, anytime you can get ahead, how we can plan that is ideal. So we basically, everything is color coordinated to go with each paycheck. We wrote our monthly estimate. So once again, guys, the monthly overview is an estimate of everything. This sometimes isn't always the accurate budget. It's an overview, but this is going to show an actual what happens at the end of each paycheck and which bill is covered with each check. So that starts to kind of give you more of a sense of what's actually coming in and out on a paycheck basis here. So this is our weekly slash bi-weekly, since we combined both of her and her husband's income there. So of course this one challenged me a little bit because I'm used to doing like either a bi-weekly or a weekly budget, never combining the two. But because they have those two strong incomes, it definitely makes her budget journey 10 times easier to pay things off earlier and get ahead. So we quoted to only have 530 left over, but we wind up having way more, which is always, best. And it still covered every single thing that we wrote. I will say the haircuts we did over quote. So if we do need to squeeze that in there, we do have a little bit room for that. And then our gas, we did over quote that by a little bit as well. That's that breakdown. And then we set up our debt payoff list for what we're going to start with and what we're going to save for the month of June. And I did go in and start working on her July budget. So I will be posting that on my TikTok. So look forward to that. Thank you guys again for watching. If you don't follow me on, or if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please make sure you do. And let me know if this was helpful. And did you have any questions about this? How is your pay cycles? Did everybody understand it? I know sometimes when we're going through a lot of budgeting like this, it can be confusing. So if there's anything I can help you with in the comment section, please let me know. I'm so excited to be a part of her and her husband's budget journey. And I can only imagine what the next year is going to be like for them sticking to the plan. All right. See you guys later. Bye.